Hello, everyone. Day 3 of my 40 days of truth for Lent. I had a much better day today, actually, because I stopped being so cerebral about like how I was getting my point across. I just felt if it was true, then it was true, and if it was a lie, then it was a lie. And I did catch myself about to tell one lie today, and it was for the purpose of embellishing a story. I was telling a coworker about dad jokes and like about my father's joke, to which I got no reaction. And I was like, well, I thought that my dad's joke was so great. So then I added another dad joke to it, implying that it was my father's, and that got more of a reaction, but I immediately told her, actually, my dad didn't say that. So I caught myself in what could have been a lie, but ended up just being a poorly executed comedy routine. And it got me thinking about a client I had once. I'm going to call him D for the purposes of not outing him, even though the people that know him know exactly who he is. I tattoo. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. Actually, it'll be 2 years in June. And I had this one client, and he was a pathological liar, and not in the sense that there were white lies or it was just blatant untruths. Like the kind of person that if you said, I love David Tennant, would say, hey, I had tea with him once when I was living in England with my rich father. That kind of pathological liar. And he was getting a tattoo that was, it was a symbol that was for him and his then fiance. And I think that I regret doing that tattoo, not because of spending time with this person who was a compulsive liar, but because I was kind to him and I didn't call out his lies. And it got me thinking about what kindness actually is in terms of truth. Because sometimes the kind thing to say is not civil. Sometimes the kind thing to say is the truth, and the truth is not what people want to hear. If somebody is smoking and says, well, I exercise, so it kind of cancels it out, the truth for that matter would be, no, it doesn't. You're still hurting yourself, and it's a bad habit, and it's gross, and you shouldn't do it. But some of us, especially if these people are our friends, will lie out of some sort of misplaced compassion. And I don't think that it's compassionate to tell people lies. So when this person was being tattooed by me, I gave him the benefit of the doubt in practice. In my mind, I was thinking, oh my God, I can't wait until this tattoo's over. I want this person out of my house. His energy is just messing me up. I can't be around this person. And there was this moment where I thought to myself, dishonesty causes this glitch in our ability to be civil. And I've lied in the past, and I know that I've twisted truth in a lot of ways, but to see such an extreme case of it and to actually be in their presence, really, that was when I started to reevaluate the types of lies that I was telling. I mean, I guess it's like lies to achieve some sort of virtue, to maintain appearances, to appear to be better than they are. Maybe it comes from some place of deep sadness, which is probable considering who this person was and the kind of energy that he was giving off. I couldn't tell. I'm not a psychiatrist, but there's this like there's this link between appearances and reality, and it's almost like appearances versus reality a lot of the time. And in that, there's appearances, which is kindness, versus reality, which is truth. And we can encounter this time and time again. You have a friend who's morbidly obese. They're about to eat 3 hamburgers in a row. You can either say nothing, say it's okay as long as you exercise, you can be healthy at any weight, or to say, why are you shoveling that garbage into your mouth? Why do you hate yourself? And the third question is probably the best one to ask, because it's one that comes from a genuine place of compassion. And thinking about all that together, I've been really thinking about how truth is kind of affected by kindness. We don't want to be unkind. It's not in our nature to be unkind. But sometimes being truthful, which I think should be the highest virtue that we have, being truthful gets pushed aside a lot of the time in favor of being kind without any real purpose other than not to hurt someone's feelings. Oh, it's my dog pattering around. Well, he's not my dog. Can't lie. It's not my dog. I'm watching him for a friend. His name's Winston. Come here, buddy. Yes. Oh, no. It's your old buddy. Sorry. Okay, no kisses. All right? You're going to bother me during my little thing? You going to say hi? Okay. Go lie down. Go lie down. So, I don't even know where I was. I get sidetracked by dog. He's pretty old, so even little things hurt him, which I try not to pick him up too much, but what can you do? So, yeah, I felt like I was on a good roll there too. Anyway, no edits, you see it all. That led me to the whole appearances versus reality, kindness versus truth. It led me to this idea that maybe there's something to be said for kindness in the sense of civility. Like, you're kind enough to abide by social interaction standards, but you don't need to be so kind as to ignore facts. And, of course, we all know Ben Shapiro's facts, don't care about your feelings. And I guess that's true. I mean, like, they don't really care about your feelings, but I mean, it's the same with anything that's objective, So considering all that, I asked myself a question. At what point does kindness become a lie? At what point does our compassion for someone's feelings become a lie? And to what degree are we willing to lie to make a single interaction more comfortable for someone else? And to that end, how does that lie help the person that we're telling it to? How does lying about someone's weight help them in the long run? How does telling someone who's morbidly obese that they're not help them in the long run? How does telling someone with a mental disorder that, that, let's say a body dysmorphia, whatever, how does telling someone who is anorexic that, they're not that bad, help them. I don't know. I don't think that it helps them at all. In that case, I would think that the truth would be kindness in the long run, even though it's perceived as uncivil. And it was about my second or third year in my undergrad. No, it's my second year in my undergrad that I discovered Arthur Schopenhauer and his essay, The Emptiness of Existence. And it's so great, that first paragraph. It just really encompasses everything. Although it doesn't, obviously he expands on it, and I think that Schopenhauer is not really a full measure of an intellectual that you'll want in your life. Because if you just think, well, nothing means anything and everything's meaningless and time is fleeting, then you might go down that very slippery slope into despair, and we all know what lies there. But he writes, this emptiness finds its expression in the whole form of existence, in the infiniteness of time and space, as opposed to the finiteness of the individual in both, in the fleeting present as the only manner of real existence, in the dependence and relativity of all things, in constantly becoming without being, in continually wishing without being satisfied, in an incessant thwarting of one's efforts, which go to make up life until victory is won. Time and the transitoriness of all things are merely the form under which the will to live, which is, as the thing in itself, is imperishable, has revealed to time the futility of its efforts. Time is that by which, at every moment, all things become as nothing in our hands, and thereby lose all their true value. So, basically, I'm not going to read the entire essay. It's just that first one was what got me in 2009. And if you think about time and space and the finiteness of humanness, just being human, we have an expiration date, just like every human creation has an expiration date, except for Twinkies. If you think of it in terms of that, then because everything is meaningless, everything that we do has this infinite amount of meaning within ourselves. So without a core set of values, without ideas that guide us, without principles that guide us through life, then we have nothing. And if you're going to say that you value truth, then you need to value truth at the expense of feelings sometimes. You need to value truth as an ideal. And it can be said about anything. If you want to be kind, you're going to always have to be kind. If that's what it is. Obviously, you're going to have boundaries, which is why I don't think that kindness should be a value that's held higher than truth. I think that kindness should come naturally as in a situation when you're interacting with someone. And I think that it does for most people. But truth, and I'm learning this through this, it's only been 3 days, but truth itself and the practice of not lying is something that is directly in our control. And there's very few things that are in our control. We can't control if people lie to us. We can't control if, let's say, politicians lie. We can't control if a driver is going to swerve and hit us. We can't control anything outside of ourselves and our minds. And I think that it's a heck of an endeavor to just make a hierarchy of values that that you can live by. Because for me, I've had no values. I've had all of these opinions that were formed either in accordance with or in opposition to other people's thoughts and not my own. And now that I'm trying to suss out what I actually think, I'm finding myself not in a camp that would be considered like red pilled or, blue pilled or whatever analogy you want to use, but living in this sort of gray space of nuance where everything that you do requires a measured hand. And obviously on places like on platforms like Twitter or Facebook, for those who still have Facebook, it's difficult to be human when you're representing a representation of yourself. You on Facebook, or especially on Facebook, we construct these versions of ourselves for people to consume. So we want people to think that we are the best version of the best kind of best human that there is in the best part of whichever world we live in. We want people to be envious, and we want to project an appearance of our reality that's more like a caricature of who we are. Nobody has pictures of themselves that they haven't taken like 40,000 beforehand and then slapped on 20 different filters, or had someone take a photo of them with someone special, or have some funny photo that someone else took. Everybody wants to brand themselves, but they want to brand themselves as an individual, but they also want to brand themselves as part of individual groups. And, it's that compulsive liar, man. I really been thinking about him, and I don't know how anyone can get through their life with that level of stress, of lying and then continuing to lie, and then more lying to cover up the lies, and then more lies to cover up those lies. It must be exhausting. And it's just so much easier in the long run, I guess. I mean, it's still a practice that I'm working on, and I'm not going to lie and say that I've mastered telling the truth. There are still some responses that I give to people that are not even engaged. I'm not engaged with them when I'm speaking to them. I'm somewhere else. And, maybe the act of being present in the moment can help with being truthful. But it's extremely difficult if it's not something that you practice all the time. So being present is something that I'm working on, and developing better habits and trying not to embellish when I have the opportunity. Sometimes a boring story is just a boring story. There's always going to be an opportunity for you to tell someone something incredible, because something incredible has probably happened to you. It doesn't need to be every single time you have a conversation. And, letting people talk is a great thing. You get to learn a lot about people if you just listen to them. And that was yesterday's lesson, just listening. And today, when I started interacting, when I really meant, how are you? It was a new experience for me, because I actually wanted to know how they were. Some people gave me the one-off response like, yeah, I'm okay. Or, yeah, it's good. How are you? But there were some people that were just like, yeah, well, this happened, and then that happened, and then this happened yesterday. And I was engaged with them, and it felt good, because it felt like we were actually sharing energy. God, I'm talking like some sort of like hippie guru. And I don't mean like sharing energy in the whole like Om Chi kind of thing. I just mean like when you're engaged with someone, there is a give and take, someone is listening, you are talking, and then you internalize what they're saying, you register it, and you respond accordingly based on what is true in that moment. And in any case, that's pretty much what I've been thinking. Schopenhauer and that compulsive liar, D, man, he was something else. I don't even know how to explain it, you know. And part of me felt sorry for the guy, but another part of me wanted to punch him in the face. And I can admit that, you know. But you know, I was tattooing him, so I couldn't like stab him repeatedly and then punch him in the face. You know, it wouldn't be good. But at least I got paid. Anyway, that's day 3. See y'all tomorrow.